Wrestling Still Cool podcast. My name's KM. That's Mark.
Hey, y'all doing? Thanks for joining in.
Before we get into this is not an interview. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestlingSCool and go ahead and with the rest.
For Instagram, it's at Wrestling Still Cool. TikTok, it's at Wrestling Still Cool 90. On Facebook, it's Wrestling Still Cool. LinkedIn is at Wrestling Still Cool. And get us an email at WrestlingStillCool@gmail.com.
All right,
here we go. You doing all right today?
Yeah. A little inside baseball here. This is what, our sixth attempt?
Somewhat. Got to have some laughs there going into our promos, so to speak. Yeah, a little opening there.
Whatever you want to call it. The intro.
Introduction.
The welcome to Walmart.
Welcome to Walmart. Fun with Larry and who?
Fun with Dick and Jane.
That's what's on Dick. I couldn't remember that. I couldn't remember that movie title. Oh man, that's what it's all about. But we can be serious for a minute here. You know what I mean?
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
We've the one we're going to talk about, what we are here to talk about, if you will, is Wrestlemania 17.
Right.
This is when Stone Cold shook hands with the devil himself, as JR said it.
That's right. Cam and I picked out 2 WrestleManias, and mine was WrestleMania 3. We had a choice between 3 and 9, so we chose 3. And then KM decided he wanted to talk about WrestleMania 17, so here we go. WrestleMania 17. This is actually one of the cooler ones in different ways. And watch this live. Did you watch this one live?
I'm pretty sure I did. And because of the time frame, it would have been when my mom would have let up a little bit more with the WWF, especially after WCW taking over. I remember watching that. And there's a couple matches specifically on the card that I remember. Like, for instance, when we get to them, I'll talk about them a little bit more and things that led up to them. For documentation purposes, this took place from the Astrodome, or Reliant Astrodome in Houston, Texas, and this was on April 1st, 2001. So this would have been. I don't remember. Was he American? He was the American Badass already, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was American Badass. When he returned in 2000, he was already having that gimmick. And I remember. Never mind. I'm about to say something. I'll save it for later on because it's part of a certain match. But this is I actually saw us live with a few buddies, and man, this is a cool pay-per-view from back then. Obviously WCW just got bought out from McMahon, and it was very special in its own way. So I got to watch it live, man. That was a cool show, and one of my favorites, absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll get to like certain memories from each match, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The first match on the card was Jericho versus Regal. Regal was the GM. At the time, I don't think they called it a GM. They called it something else. But basically, he was the guy making matches. And
he was the commissioner.
Commissioner, thank you. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I really remember about this feud, and they played a clip here, is when Jericho pees in his tea.
I remember that one. Oh, man, that was priceless.
Yeah, that was one of the main things I remember from this feud. And I remember it went on for months before they had this match.
One thing I had confused about. Oh, sorry, good. I didn't cut you off.
You're fine.
One thing I got, I guess my memory got confused about this match, or at least a moment in this match. It must have been at a different pay-per-view. I thought it was at WrestleMania. Where the Queen or whatever, I think she was the Queen. I'm not, or some kind of shit.
The Barry match where she kept changing the rules.
I don't think maybe it was that, but it was that older lady that was out there at ringside, and towards the end of the match, Jericho put her in the Wall of Jericho.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that this happened.
Queensberry.
That's what it was. Okay,
I Googled it. It was Backlash 2001.
Okay, so it's the next following month. So.
Yeah, well, actually not even a full month.
Okay.
So Backlash 2001 came out was 4 weeks later.
Basically a month.
Yeah, almost a month.
Oh, the next pay-per-view, let's say that. But
the next pay-per-view. Yeah,
okay.
But that was the Duchess of Queensberry rules match.
Okay,
And
I was confused.
I mainly remember it because they kept changing the rules. Like, oh, you can't do this because there is a round or things like that.
Okay, that's where I get confused. I was watching. I was like, I know it's been a long time ago, but it's like, wasn't there some kind of old lady that's like a queen or something?
Yeah. But with this match, there's a good back and forth, and they kind of leaned heavy on technical for Regal. He even puts him in the Regal stretch, and Jericho attempts the walls of Jericho, things like that. But Jericho ends up winning by a lion salt.
Yeah.
An Intercontinental belt as well.
That's it. They got that title. The IC champion. That's what he went there for, and the company for originally. So I give it a 6.5. What'd you get it, dude?
7.
So we're not far off that one.
Yeah, we're very close on that one. And the reason that I liked it, it was just it highlights what Regal had going for him in terms of performance, and it highlights, and Jericho and him worked really well together.
Yeah, definitely do. They had good chemistry and could tell a story really well together. They're really good storytellers in general, but that was a good kickoff to the show. That really was. That was the kind of match that you wanted to have a kickoff to. So yeah, absolutely, give props to them.
Not the next one. The next one was Taz and the APA against Right to Censor, Bull Buchanan, the Good Father. I hated that name, and Val Venus. And this was a short match, very, very short match.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I gave it a 6.3. However, I'll tell you why. It's all enough for what was going on. They didn't overdo it. It's like they told it and they got the ring. That's one thing I like about matches, especially something in this scenario. And it goes back to something that we had conversation with just incredible. And what about a month or so ago, we had a conversation. Had him on the show. By the way, that episode's in the archives. By the way, yeah, Incredible. He's talking about. I'm not just saying it's because of Incredible, but it brings up a point. Is that you see some matches that they go 15 minutes. It's like you already know what's going to be the case, and you don't need to go off and overdo it sometimes. It's nice to tell a story, have a great showing, but it's good to have a match that it's going to be short sometimes because you're going in there, people kind of tell what's going to be the case, and there's not a whole lot you can really tell in the story. And I see matches even on a weekly basis that they go too long. 2 minutes too long, but we still saying it's 5 minutes too long. So I just felt like it told enough, had a good finish, and it was there enough, so I give it a 6.3. So
right, okay, so I did give it a 5, but I gave it a 5 because I wasn't really impressed with it. That's what it really came down to. But in my opinion, it was a mess, but it was enjoyable. And Bradshaw did hit the clothesline from hell on the Good Father. I still stand behind. Like I'm not a big fan of Bradshaw, but man, he made that lariat look nasty. It looked like it hurt the person taking it. And there's only like one other person I could really think of that kind of had a clothesline like that, and that was Triple H. Triple H had a clothesline that looked like it hurt like a bitch.
Someone said, I don't know who it was. Someone said not that long ago. I don't think we had him on the pod. I don't think it was. Maybe it was just Incredible said this. I'm not sure, but someone asked how bad that feels from Bradshaw. Or like, well, there's a reason why it's called Clothesline from Hell. That's all. Yeah. Might have been Incredible. I don't know, but it was somebody not too long ago took that.
I know what you're talking about because I had heard people talking about when he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame that he was very much adamant to make it look real, and sometimes he would just beat the hell out of you just because he wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looked like hell.
The next one was a hardcore match between Kane, the champion Raven, versus the Big Show.
The hardcore title.
This one was memorable.
Oh yeah,
not necessarily for the best things. So there's a part in this match where Raven gets on on a golf cart and tries to drive around, and Big Show's choking him and stuff like that. He loses control and goes off the side. It's on TV.
Yeah.
They were about less than a foot from knocking out the power to the whole building and going off the air.
I didn't even see that part.
Well, I know about this because Raven, I listened to his podcast, so he's talked about it where he got in a lot of trouble for that.
Really?
And he said it didn't really help his standing with WWE.
Wow.
Jeez. Yeah.
So he came close to like the generator or something, and it could have
killing the power to the whole building. Yeah.
Wow. That's a that's a heatful moment. Heatful. Yeah, that's a lot of heat. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, it could have been way worse. And considering it's been widely noted that when he came to the WWF, Vince McMahon sees him and says, "Who the hell hired Johnny Flamingo or Johnny Polo?" So that wouldn't have helped him at all.
No.
And then King gets in the golf cart as well to chase him down. This is definitely the kookiness 24/7 hardcore title era. But Big Show attempts to press slam Raven off the entrance stage, but Kane knocks them both off, and then does like his diving leg drop, which looked, I'm gonna be honest with you, looked weird. Kane doing it, but he ended up pinning the Big Show and winning the title.
It's WrestleMania. You got to come out with those. It's WrestleMania. You got to come out with those unusual times. So yeah, that was a good match. Honestly, it really was. Recently I was launched and was listening to the JR podcast, Conrad, and Conrad asked him, why didn't Raven have more of a push? Well, I guess apparently McMahon really didn't understand the character of Raven. I guess there's a number of people who didn't understand it back there, but McMahon just didn't understand the whole concept of the Raven character. It's one reason why he never, I guess, rose higher into the card. So that's a little note there.
I think you and I listened to the same thing then, because at one point he's like, he didn't think that McMahon paid attention to anything Raven's done since he left at Johnny Polo, and one of the sign of it was him calling him Johnny Polo. And when McMahon asked who hired Johnny Polo, he took the brunt of it, even though he didn't necessarily hire him.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one was going to step up to do it. And he's just like, "Oh, I'll do it. What the hell is he going to do? Fire me? Okay." Like,
yeah.
Which I wanted to make a note of this because this was also Paul Heyman on commentary when the King left for a while. If you really think about it, Mr. McMahon is considered, or in WWF in general, is considered a very New York company, up north company.
Mm-hmm.
But his biggest commentators were from the South.
Mm-hmm.
You had Jim Ross from Oklahoma, and you had Jerry the King Lawler from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think about that the South Company at the time, which was WCW, had commentators mainly from the North, except for Tony Schiavone, because I think he was from Atlanta. And then you had WWF, the company from New York, having these Southern guys.
Yeah. That's a little flip-flop there. Yeah, that's interesting. Eventually, thought that the JR and King were too Southern. They sound like JR. King
JR definitely sounds it, but it works for him.
But I'm saying JR. I was about to say King. I don't think King's too Southern. I mean, he's from there. He's from here. Several hours away from me. He's from Memphis, but that's what he's known out there. But I don't think necessarily sounds. I guess a big bit, but they're obviously thinking that he has that Southern background, so that's what makes it more that way. But,
yeah, he has a Southern background, but I wouldn't look at Jerry and go, he's from the South. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But those guys were the it factor back then. It's hard to even try to do something to replicate that. So
they've definitely tried,
and it don't work.
Would you end up rating this?
I gave that a 6. We're doing the hardcore title match, right? Yeah, that's right. 6.7. Sorry, we got a little off.
So
there, yes,
I did 6.5 on this one.
We're